If you've been researching online how to buy a house, whether it's Reddit, Googling, or using AI, you're still feeling a little unsure, you're not alone. You've been flooded with information, but there's a few parts that most people don't realize. So stay with me for a minute and I'll give you some more clarity. I had a client come in recently. They had already looked online. They were very confident. They knew what their payment needed to be. They felt pretty confident about the house price that they could buy that would give them that payment. They were talking about the program. But when they sat down and we reviewed everything together, we realized their qualifying income, the amount of income they were using to determine whether they qualified, wasn't accurate. Because most people will look at what they bring home or the gross amount on W-2s. And that's not necessarily the same income that we can use for qualifying you for a mortgage. Most lenders look at how your income is structured, how consistent it is, what the guidelines for those specific loan types say about the income we can use. And there's very often differences, and it can even change their payment pretty drastically. Not because they were wrong, it's because they didn't have the full picture. And that's what's happening with a lot of buyers right now, because there is so much information out there. And most people feel like they can just put their information in AI and they can tell them what they qualify for, what loan programs are best. And realizing that AI is going to give you misinformation because it's going to take the information that is out there on the internet. Especially in Louisiana, we can find some really big differences. Another area is what the payment would be compared to the house price. Especially in Louisiana, there's variables that aren't going to be accounted for with insurance, with flood insurance. So sometimes people think that they're comfortable with a certain payment because AI says that house price is in line with that payment, but it's just not true. It's just not accurate. Now, there's also a lot of confusion about first-time homebuyer programs. Again, AI, Google, they're going to pull from what's out there online, but they're not looking at what's actually best for you. A lot of people market first-time homebuyer programs as cheaper and easier and the way to go for people who are first-time homebuyers, but that is not necessarily the case. There's a lot of inaccuracies online. So what's happening is people walk in, they think they understand enough about moving forward, and then they get disappointed because of the real numbers. It doesn't match what their expectations were. So what can actually remove any feelings of doubt when you have someone that actually cares about you, that's going to take your information, the concerns you have, your goals, your real numbers, build a plan around what's actually right for you, and then you can make an educated decision. Credit is another area. Most often on Google searches, on AI, on Reddit, it talks about the credit score number, but that's not the big picture. I have just helped a client that came to me with much lower than a 600 credit score actually be able to get into a home. And it had to do with the way we structured their loan. It had to do with their payment history, not just the credit score number. So having somebody look at an honest approach to what your situation is going to give you that clarity. At Vessel Mortgage, we don't give pressure. We just want to give you clarity and a plan.